What's up, fam? It's Randy B. Let's see, how did I get here? How did I get here? I didn't know I would be here, but it makes so much sense now. Like, I'm actually walking in my purpose right now, but I didn't know it. I didn't know it as I was walking. You know, I'm just living life, feeling like I didn't fit in. I think that's what got me here, feeling as if I never really fit in anywhere. And so I always was trying to figure out, how do I get to a place where I just feel comfortable? You know how you're just at home sometimes chilling, you know, in your own space and you feel completely like you? I want that feeling when I'm outside my home. I want that feeling when I'm with other people, except for the one or two where I just feel good around. And I want other people to have that feeling. And I think it's particularly tough for Black folks to have that feeling, to be honest. I think that Black folks feel as if we're guests in this country, that we're invited, that we can be kicked out at any time. So I've just been on a quest my whole life to figure out how we change that, how we get together and make things a better situation for us. Because that's stressful, being in a place where you don't feel like you belong. It absolutely sucks. There's no other way to say it. You know, my mother was a college professor, a French college professor at Hampton University. So here I was, this kid being raised at one of the top historically Black colleges and universities in the nation, and surrounded by all of this just Black love, Black intelligence. And I believe it shaped me to feel very solid in who I was for a long time. My father, too, went to Morehouse undergrad and was this proud Black man that kept getting arrested during the civil rights movement. So these were two Black parents that I had that were always teaching me to love myself. But what was interesting is that they also had the American dream, like many of us do. And when they were able, they moved into a neighborhood where we were the first Black family to go. The first Black family in this huge neighborhood in Williamsburg, Virginia. And let me tell you something, it did not feel quite as loving as that environment at Hampton did. And so that started me on my journey of trying to figure out, how do you feel accepted in a country that is yours but doesn't quite feel like yours sometimes? How do you, I wanted so badly to believe, of course, in integration. I wanted so badly to believe in that we were the melting pot like they taught me. I wanted so badly to believe that love was love and everybody would embrace and everything was good. And it just wasn't the case. The case was that I was definitely called the N-word. The case was is that I went trick-or-treating with my white friends and candy was not placed in my bag. The truth was is that I wanted to try out to be a princess for our plays, and someone told me that there were no Black princesses, so I couldn't try out and I shouldn't try out. And you don't forget those things. Although that was 40 years ago, it still hurt. And I think what got me through, though, was my childhood. But even since then, I've wondered, like, is the American dream the same for Black people? Was it the right thing for us to move to that neighborhood? And then as I have gotten older, I went to Tuskegee University again, being in the embrace of an all-Black institution where everybody looked at me and saw a possibility. That changes you when you see yourself reflected in others, and what you see reflected back is, yes, sister, yes, young lady, yes. It's very different than when someone's looking back at you as if you are a nuisance or as if they don't want you there, or they're wondering why you're there. And so I wanted everyone to have that feeling. That's what I knew, is I wanted everyone to have the feeling that I had had in my life, where I felt accepted, because I knew that ultimately everyone needs that in order to thrive. And so I went to graduate school at the College of William and Mary, and I began teaching. I went to the most diverse school, Wakefield High School in Arlington County. It was the school that President Barack Obama used to visit because of the diversity. I mean, I would have a classroom where 50 different countries were represented. And that just so ignited something in me. It just made me feel actually more safe than I had ever felt. The diversity made me feel safe. No, everybody was different, so nobody cared about difference. And watching the way that the children manipulated the situations and how they worked with one another was very informative. I think that situation taught me more than I probably taught them. But also, I was thinking about the curriculum and how what I taught them would affect them. I understood that seeing themselves reflected in what we were reading was important. There was no way I could let those people leave thinking that the only great authors and scientists and actors and just contributors to this country were old white men, because that's what I was taught. So I needed for them to see themselves in this country, to see themselves as the truth was, that they too, their ancestors, their people had given already. And so there was great possibilities in what they could give. And then from there, I went to corporate America. And I went to corporate America, frankly, because my mother passed away and my heart was absolutely crumbled. And you can't teach children, particularly children that need you, with a broken heart. I didn't have it to give. And so corporate America, you can be a bit more cold and distant, but I still had the passion of trying to figure out how you get people to work together, people that come from different backgrounds, because we grow up in silos, most of us, right? Most of us grow up and are around people that are similar to us, and then we get thrown into the workplace and we have no idea how to function. And the people who are marginalized are the people who suffer the most, because it behooves them to be able to get along with the majority culture, to keep a job and to move up in that job. And that's a burden, right? It is a burden when you have to hide pieces of yourself. It's a burden when you feel as if I can't talk the way I want to talk, wear the hair the way it naturally comes out my head. That weighs on us in ways that I don't even think any of us understand yet. It was at these corporations that I realized the weight of it. I didn't get it before. I went there honestly thinking I was going to teach basic skills to everybody about how to get along, and honestly to teach white management about how to manage marginalized groups with whom they had never worked with before, thought they needed an education. But what I left with was how much my people were suffering. Every client, every location, and I traveled the country, there would be Black people coming to me and say, "Can I please talk to you?" It seemed as if they were so happy to see a Black person who could actually advocate for them, actually be the voice that they were too scared to be. Because we know if we speak up, we will be considered troublemakers or having a bad attitude or being a person that's not good to work with. So people were scared, on top of already being muzzled, on top of already feeling as if they had to dilute who they were. They were also terrified. And everyone needs the job. Everyone needs an income. So the level of stress I saw my people under just really encouraged me to do something, and to do something different than I was doing. But I gotta be honest. I too needed a job. I too needed to make money, right? So I'm getting these clients and I couldn't say everything I wanted to say because I needed to get more contracts. I wasn't courageous enough to do what I'm doing now. So that took time. Even when I would do the workshops that I would be doing and the speeches that I would give, I would talk about groups in like an overarching, like an umbrella. I wouldn't even talk about being Black specifically. So here I was telling people to be authentic, but I wasn't being authentic to myself. I wasn't being authentic. I wasn't calling attention to my Blackness. Oftentimes I'd be in the tech industry and I wasn't calling attention to my womanness. I was really trying to be almost neutral. If you could make a person just beige and non-existent. I would be participating in activities during the weekends that would hopefully further the Black cause, working on civil rights. But when someone asked me when I would show up to work events what I did over the weekend, I would never tell people that because I didn't want to be seen as radical. So in time I grew up. I just grew up and I decided that I was going to really try to make a change. What I was doing wasn't doing it. Delivering these workshops that made everybody comfortable, that's what I was doing, wasn't gonna work. And I just was determined to make a change. And it was at a point in my life that I could. My kids were older. I was at a better state financially because I didn't think I'd ever get a job again. I'm gonna be honest. When I decided, okay, Randy B, you're gonna do this thing, speak out, be honest, be truthful, be authentic. I was like, okay, you're not gonna have a job, but that's okay. That's okay. This is your mission. And I started Randy B and I started writing. I just started writing these blogs. And people were telling me that it was therapy because I was saying what they couldn't say. I was voicing that feeling when you go to work and you don't feel as if you're able to be yourself. I was voicing that feeling when you're scared about your kids coming home at night. I was voicing the emotions that we hid from the world because I don't think Black people have ever been allowed to be ourselves. So I was saying what we say around closed doors. And so now I'm at a point because I believe it's absolutely critical to each individual's mental health, but our unity as a people to provide platforms where we all live and speak our truths. When I see us happy, when I see Black folks happy, it's when we're in the barbershops, in the beauty salons, sitting on somebody's porch, around kitchen tables, dining room tables, where it's just us and we feel as if we're not being judged. We take off the muzzle and we just vibe. I literally can see us lighten up. I suddenly see us smile. I hear us laugh. And I want that for us. I believe we need it. So that's where I am right now. That's what's happening right now, is I am determined to free us in that way. So I've created these truthing cards. That's how I started. I created truthing cards. 100 cards, 100 questions. I had like 300. It was so hard to narrow down. I'm going to come out with more, but I started with 100 questions to get us talking, and not talking about like what's happening between Blueface and Kushan and just, the things that distract us. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like that too. I like some gossip. But I believe that we need to talk about what's happening in our community. I believe we need to talk about things that concern us. Because when I think back, that's how it used to be for me. When I was happy, when I felt safe. I was in these environments when I was a kid at Hampton University, watching my mom and her professor friends and my dad and his government friends and our family members all the time. They sit around drinking. It was the 70s. Some of them was smoking a little something, something. And talking about major issues. Even within my own family, every Sunday we watched 60 Minutes. And whatever they were talking about, we would discuss, argue, debate at the table. I think about holidays where like it was a big deal to get moved up to the adult table, and that meant that you could have an opinion and support that opinion. And we would just yap and yap and yap. And the brilliant thing about it is that although we were all in the same family, we were different. You know, families are different. You have the highfalutin family members, you got the family members who are broke, you got the family members who are country as a neck bone sandwich, you got the New York guys, you have it all. And we get together and we talk about one subject. And so it taught me that Black people aren't monolithic, that there was not one definition of being Black, but it also gave me just this broad understanding of other people's perspective. It allowed me to appreciate us as a people and not think that there was one way to do things or one way to be Black. And I think that's what we need now. I think that's what we need now, is to hear others' opinions, and not just the opinions that we hear all the time. I understand the tendency to want to put, the same highly educated or well-traveled or just known people on TV, right? We hear from people like the Real Housewives or the people that are on the news every night. And what about the rest of us? Like, what about the ones who are out here living as Black Americans every single day? I want to know how that person feels. The everyday person when we sit around a table. I want to know, how does the barber feel about the election? I want to know about the brother or sister who's been unemployed for several years. I want to know about the single parent and how they feel. I want to know about the high corporate executive who manages a team but he's the only Black person there. I want to know how that person feels. Because all those opinions matter. Because all of us are united in creating the best scenario we can for the Black community. Because I don't know if anybody else has been paying attention. Because it is us for us a lot of times. So we need to get perspectives from different people. And that is what I'm trying to do right now. I made the Truth in Cards so people would sit around again at their kitchen tables, dining room tables, barbershops, beauty shops, whatever, and talk and get different perspectives. But also now I'm getting this show together. Now, I never had fantasies or dreams of being on a show, but I think it's necessary because I want to take the message bigger. I want everybody to hear the other perspectives. I want to get us in a room and talk about some, important questions in the Black community. So now I am working on a show called Truthing with Randy B. I'm so excited. I am so excited. I cannot even play it off. I can't be cool about it. I am so excited. I never thought that this is where I was going to be, but I recognize this is what I've been working up to all this time, and it's where I'm supposed to be. Truthing with Randy B is a forum. It is a safe space where we are going to put a diverse group of people together to discuss one question from the Truthing Cards that affects or that is important to the Black community. And when I say diverse group of Black people, I want to hear from the barber. I want to hear from the unemployed person. I want to hear from the high executive. I want to hear from the mother. I want to hear from the single parent. I want to hear from the couple that doesn't have kids. I want to hear from everyone because we're not monolithic. And everybody's opinion should be heard. Everybody's opinion matters because we're in this together. Ain't none of us going anywhere. And so to create real unity, we need to hear from all representations of Black people, all representations of people of the African diaspora. I want to hear all of it because we all matter. And not only do I want to hear it, I want us to hear each other. I believe we get stuck in our silos, that we sometimes think that there's only one way to be Black, only one way to think. We're confused when people are different from us, or we judge each other. And it's important to hear each other's stories. We've always known that hearing stories of other people was important to creating unity, but I don't think we've been allowed to hear our own much. And I think that when we do hear our own, it's oftentimes the same people and people that the majority culture has chosen as our spokespeople. Our spokespeople is everybody. Everybody should be speaking for us. Everybody's voices should be heard. Everybody should get an opportunity to take off the muzzle and say how they feel, to share their opinion. And just as importantly, everybody should hear. I want people to change my mind. I've been blessed because I have been doing this for a while unofficially. Truthing with Randy B has been happening for a long time, but it's just been something I was passionate to do. So I would get together with friends, strangers. I've done it in Peru. I've done it in Mexico. I've done it in, what other countries? I've done it in Kenya. I have just, wherever I am, I've gotten Black folks together to discuss things. Of course, I've been in Chicago, I've been in New York, I've been in Alabama, I've been in Georgia, been in Virginia, of course in Washington, D.C. I have been getting Black folks together to talk for a long time. And the beautiful thing about it is that it has allowed my mind to expand. It's allowed me to see differing opinions. It's actually allowed me to really work in the grays. I'm not black and white about anything because I am gifted with always hearing different perspectives. And it's hard to stay stuck when people are generous enough to share how they feel with you, are generous enough to share a story that makes them be who they are. And so I want to share that with everyone else. And so I'm just so excited about it. I am just so excited about it and encouraged about what it's going to do for us to have these real conversations in a safe space, candidly, with each other.